Hey guys, we're gonna be running another very hard dungeon today. The Demon Days that came out. Um, I was going to run this dungeon using the same team I used for the previous event, just using Indigo, Echo, Theron, and Igorok, but that would be boring and repetitive, and those are some of the little bit hardest to acquire champions. So I figured I'd show you something new, and since this is going to be the first video on my channel, I figured I'd show you one of the best teams you can use for difficult dungeons, like really hard. This is the base team I used, essentially Echo, Executum or Overlord, and Augustus. This is going to be your overall best team, to clear any dungeon you're having a lot of trouble clearing. So, oh man, I'm tired. Barely got any sleep. Anyhow, you don't exactly have to use this exact team. You can make a lot of replacements here. Essentially, you can replace the second character. You can replace Julius fairly easily. Some of my suggestions would be you would want to use someone like Theron. He would probably be one of your best picks since he has a dazed defense reduction skill AoE, and he also has a really hard hitting third skill, and he's got an armor damaging skill. Now for the tank, you can also replace Overlord with something else if you don't have Overlord, since he only drops 10 tokens in that portal, so he's kind of hard to get to the higher stars. He was one of my last heroes to get 5 or 6 stars. Pretty hard. So you can replace him with quite a few tanks. So my good suggestions would be stuff like Yoko would be really good. AoE daze, taunt, soft healing, as the usual. Another good one is definitely going to be Stone Fist. But if you use Stone Fist, you'll probably have to use an energy potion on the first turn on Augustus so you can shield up, because you can't taunt up because he's a slow hero, so everyone else is going to go before you. So you don't want to take chances with them to Echo right away. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Drop down to like 1 HP. Like, some of these mobs might hit hard, so let's take a look. But Overlord is pretty tanky, and I got a shield up, so I'll go ahead and just see what they're for. Not that bad at all. Should be fine. That was no problem. He dropped to about half health. Nothing serious. So with this kind of team, your general strategy is going to be every single round is to debuff as many characters as you can using, whatever you have, whatever you're using for your team. So you want to use like stuff like Daze, Disease, Freeze, stuff like that. So you want to reduce your incoming damage as much as possible. Since this is a attrition team, you want to survive as long as possible and reduce the amount of threat coming into you. You should, with Echo, you'll have enough energy to just keep your spells going, and if you do your rotation right, you should never get into any danger of, dying or losing any characters. So essentially, your goal here is to just survive. The enemies will die with time. One of the biggest sources of damage is going to be the shock from Echo. And in this dungeon, it happens to be that since we have all demons, and Augustus is the Demon Hunter trait, he becomes very effective in this team. And oh yeah, one more thing. Emily could be really effective in this dungeon, since she can also hunt dark enemies. I believe she has Demon Hunter. I don't remember. Oh yeah, yes she does. Because you can use her to kill Sume. Yeah, Emily would be really strong in this dungeon. Or just generally a lot of water heroes. Just your standard, Igorok's really good. Indigo's really good for energy generation. Ice Pick is great. There's a lot of choices here. But as you probably heard me say a couple of times around the forums, I think Augustus is by far the best character for the campaign. So I would recommend, or people in general, so I would definitely recommend you get him as soon as possible if you don't have him yet. That would be my #1 suggestion. So right now I have Aegis Shield on the other 3 characters besides Overlord. So instead of taunting, I'm gonna debuff the boss in case he hits really hard with Smite. That's gonna reduce his damage by about 60%. No, doesn't even hit that hard at all. But since we have all light enemies, they chose to attack my Overlord anyhow, so it didn't really matter too much. With a 60% damage reduction, defense, skill, crit, everything, that helps a whole lot. And normally I would probably daze here, probably like the Emily looking caster, but I don't think it's just necessary. I just want to do more damage and get this level done faster. Now I'm gonna put up taunt since it reduces my damage taken by something like 44%, I think, which is pretty good. Yeah, of course. He would smite right away. But it looks like he removed all my other buffs, but not taunt. On Echo, it hits really hard with his third skill. So 5,000 plus 500 shock. There's Julius follow up, another 2,300 plus shock. Got some serious damage there. And you generally want to use Aegis Sword every single time it's up, unless you need to heal Overlord like immediately with Lay on Hands, and he doesn't have his 3rd skill up. It's generally, even if it doesn't crit, it's gonna kill him pretty much to full just about every single time. But keep in mind that if his 3rd skill misses, then you might be in some trouble, especially if you're low HP. So generally, you don't want to take chances with this. And by the way, I recommend bringing obviously 3 energy potions in this dungeon. So if you feel like you're ever in trouble, you think you're, oh crap, I'm about to die, or something bad's gonna happen, or my cooldowns are down, I would probably recommend you use it on Augustus every single time, and you pretty much pop Aegis Shield every single time. That's gonna protect your whole team from one hit of anything in the game, and it's also gonna restore some HP for them. I think around 600, 700 if you're in the level 60 plus, and it can crit for around a little over 1,000, somewhere around like 1,200, which is usually about 20% of HP for normal characters. It's pretty good. Oh, and by the way, I generally recommend keeping your taunt up on Overlord, like right now. I can just debuff him or hit him again to do more damage. But I want to protect the Aegis Shield on my 3 other guys, since Aegis Shield is actually, I think, like one of the only skills in the game that stacks. I want to try and keep it on the other characters up at all times. So later in the game, or like in the later stages, especially like on the boss stage, if I want to or need to, I can drop my taunt and not have to worry about anybody dying or taking damage for a couple of turns. Because we'll have like 3 or 4 stacks of the shield. So even if they get hit, they can take like 3 or 4 hits and be completely fine if they can do it again. So overall, this team is really strong. It's probably by far the strongest team I've been able to find for clearing the campaign. Clearing them out, very hard dungeons, just a lot of different stuff. Of course you're gonna make a variation to this team. You're not gonna bring Julius to an all-fire dungeon, because that'd be just dumb. And some challenge modes also have character restrictions, like you might not be able to bring nature heroes or fire heroes or light heroes or whatever. So of course we'll have to make adjustments there. But generally, this kind of setup is probably what you're looking for. So, I'll say right away, unfortunately, I had to redo the run. As you'll probably notice, I have some different cooldowns on my Echo, and you'll probably see probably on my other characters, and I have like Taunt up on Overlord. What happened is I got a call, and when I answered the call afterwards, when I hung up, and when I went back to the game, you know, dungeon boss closed like sometimes they'll usually do if you tap out of the game or are doing something else like browsing the web or using another application. And when I clicked continue and I was loading back into the dungeon, I don't know about you, but usually I'll spam click on like the screen. I'll like tap over and over, you know, so as soon as the loading bar finishes loading and you can back in the game by clicking any key just out of habit. I click in the middle of the screen, and when the icons popped up for like, you know, would you like to continue your previous dungeon or whatever, where I was clicking, I was actually spamming like on the screen right where it says like, no, I don't want to continue the dungeon. So unfortunately I left the dungeon and had to start over, but I'm essentially in the same exact position my first try again. I still have all my 3 potions and everything, so I didn't want to do the commentary for the entire dungeon all over again, so we'll just start off basically where we left off. And then, same thing, you know, I expected there to be a lot of other mobs in the dungeon, and I didn't expect Ice Pick to have so little HP. Kind of a joke. Usually when there's only one boss in the room, he'll either be like really strong or have some really crazy high damage skill that'll like one-shot somebody, but this is kind of super weak boss. Yeah, I almost killed him in 1 turn. He's shocked, dazed. He has 60% crit reduction and 60% damage reductions. I'm probably like, what, like a 50% chance to miss. Now essentially, I don't think there's any way you can lose this boss. You just keep your AG shield up just in case. I don't know how hard he hits for, but you know, I debuffed him so much he probably not do much damage at all. But that's pretty much the dungeon for you. I'll run this probably like 2 or 3 more times with different teams, and then I'll show you just in a few seconds here what other teams you can use and give you a brief explanation, you know, how you want to use them and what you want to do. So yeah.